Pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome. Welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I wonder why I'm feeling so good today. I always feel good on a Saturday because I get a chance to talk to you. But today is just, I guess, another day. Another special day, as I would say. We're going to have some fun today. First and foremost, let me tell you about the guest menu. Yeah, can you feel it? Yes, I can feel it. Coming up in hour number one, he's the CEO of the Alcorn State football program. None other than Coach Fred McNair. He'll join me at about 10:30ish here on today's show. Following Coach Fred McNair will be Coach Van Pettaway in hour number two. And then following Coach Pettaway will be Rod Walker of the New Orleans Advocate. We'll be discussing some NFL, some NBA, of course. So, that's what the guest menu looks like on today's Carlos Brown Show, September the 5th, 2020. Here's what's simply trending on today's show. BSWAC's realignment is official now. Alcorn State, they're moving to the Western Division. Jackson State removes John Hendrick as head football coach. And now we're hearing all sorts of rumors and names being placed about. Primetime Deion Sanders, a possible replacement? No, don't throw bricks at your TV screen. Don't get your blood pressure up. But we will find out what's really going on. Stay tuned. Also, the NCAA is furloughing its entire staff for 3 to 8 weeks to cut the cost. Many of you have felt that situation, and many of you have lost your jobs. So, a lot of pain still economically going on in this country because of the pandemic. And then last but not least, legendary Georgetown coach Thompson. He passed away this past week at the age of 78. That's what's trending on today's Carlos Brown Show. Last week, we had Dr. Cable joining us, and he put out two words, competitive equity. That's all I need to know. That was a big clue, folks. A big clue to say who perhaps was going to move to the Western Division out of the 3 Mississippi State schools. And of course, now we know it was Alcorn State. Producer of today's show, and we're going to introduce him right now. Excuse me, as I take a sip of this sweet Louisiana water, and I'm looking forward to some Texas spring water shortly. Excuse me. Oh boy, that tastes so good. Maybe I should have requested Louisiana spring water. But Dr. Brother Michael Prince gave his logic, his reasoning why it was going to be Mississippi Valley State. And guess what? I was talking to people all day Saturday and Sunday, and even some Southernites who tried to put in my heart, in my head, that Valley is the best move to come into the Western Division. I wasn't having any of that. So with that being said, Dr. Prince, is there anything that you would like to say after saying good morning?
Sure. First and foremost, good morning. Glad to hear that you're in good spirits. You were right. I was wrong. And if you would like, I will be more than happy to change that from Texas spring water to the Louisiana sweet spring water. And we will express that to you, sir. And all I can say is that you got me on this one.
Well, and first and foremost, thank you. I appreciate that. Gracious in a win, and being gracious when you don't win. I appreciate that. With that being said, digging in and some inside information and that key word, some would say a dirty word, my sources told me that, hey, president of Alcorn State University, she was really pushing for Alcorn State. She was for the move.
Right. And of course, she's a PV grad, so she probably wanted to come back close to Prairie View. I don't know what to deal with. No, but you were right. All I can say, you were right, sir.
Now, thank you again. Thank you again. Now, with that being said, as I look at my water again, boy, water never tastes sweeter for some reason. It brings up geographically, of course. I know a lot of you know that Alcorn State is closer to Southern University than Grambling State University.
Mm-hmm.
Competitive equity. Those two words that stuck with me. And, of course, colleagues discussed with me last weekend, about, why they thought it was going to be Alcorn or why they didn't. And, I appreciate some of my colleagues basically saying that from being transparent, Alcorn State coming to the West is going to be a tough situation for the teams in the Western Division. Now, we're strictly talking about basically football in this equation. But, I'm also a big proponent of really doing well in the big three and literally all the sports. I like championships, no matter what sport. With that being said, I had to ask the question to some of my Southern alums. I had a discussion yesterday, and I just got to ask the question to those that I've talked to that are Southernites: why? Why do you feel like Valley was the institution to move to the Western Division? And I've never seen so many people talk about, well, here's what I heard. Valley they need the help more than anybody else. The travel costs. And I can understand that, but actually, if you look at it, Alcorn State was going to travel further. So, do you think that from a competition standpoint, I just know they're not concerned about Alcorn coming to the West from a competitive standpoint. Do you think 1-11 in football has something to do with that? Or is it 1-12? Which one? I'm not counting.
1-11.
Okay. Oh, not a big difference. And I shared to one of the guys I was talking to, let me tell you something. And call me cocky and arrogant, and some of you have. I understand that. Yes, I'm a Southern alum. No Southern team in any sport should be 1-11 against a team in your conference / rival, whatever you want to describe it as. That is unacceptable, in my humbled opinion. So, it's a done deal. The SWAC Council presidents and chancellors, along with the league's athletic directors and senior women administrators, voted unanimously in favor of the realignment taking into consideration shortest distance of travel among league membership, comma, student athlete welfare, comma, missed class time, comma, and overall competitive equity. You heard those two words last week. Dr. Cable, you dropped a huge clue. He knew, and I knew he knew. And I knew some of my colleagues knew. Dr. Prince, I knew immediately after the show.
So did I.
That I was going to be right.
But I was in too deep. I was in too deep, brother, and I had to stick with it. I said, well, it's out there, so I'm going to ride or die with it. But I can handle it. I can handle it. I shall rise again.
I'm sure you will.
When you
so we'll get your thoughts on the new SWAC realignment. Alcorn State to the Western Division. Thank you, listener. Carlos Charles Edmond called it months ago. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that comment. He wasn't the only one.
Here's my question, if you don't mind. Explain the competitive equity. We know football was part of the primary reason, but where does the competitive equity come in other sports?
In other sports, balance is another word you can use.
Okay, balance.
If Alcorn State stays in the East, then you have, of course, Bethune-Cookman, you got FAMU, and you've got Alcorn State. Plus, one of your favorite teams, Alabama A&M, which I'm still looking at when are they going to make that move to that top echelon. The football side will be extremely, extremely tough. One could argue, one could debate, one could say then that shifts the toughness, the betterness.
The balance.
The balance is kind of equal. The strength to the eastern side. Because FAMU's coming in, of course. We know who FAMU is from a football. And then again, we got to remember there are other sports involved in this besides football. Bethune-Cookman University. People are sleeping on them. 9 straight, I believe.
Yes,
Victors
sir.
over FAMU.
Yes, sir.
Not chopped liver. Jackson State, of course, they've got some issues there. But you're thinking they're going to eventually get back to the upper echelon.
2 words.
And then, 2 words? Go ahead.
Comma G curse.
Okay, yeah. But curses need to be broken. And then you look over in the West, of course, you got Southern University, Grambling State. And by the way, Grambling State alums have contacted me and said, guess what? We're not scared of Alcorn State. We have success against them. I think that was a shot at Southern.
You think?
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got Prairie View, Texas Southern, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Alcorn State, we talked about geographically. But putting them in the West, I think that balances it out. Because if they stayed in the East and Valley moved to the West, the East is stronger. And one can argue much stronger in football. Now, in other sports, Bethune-Cookman, pretty good in football. Women's basketball, watch out for them. Volleyball, track and field. To me, I like the move. I predicted this was going to happen. It did. And to me, it brings forth competitive equity / balance.
So, theoretically, you just said that the West was weak. You said
The
by
West
moving,
was weak.
yeah, you said by moving Alcorn over to the West, it has now brought some balance and bring them up to par with the new look
So
East.
so you don't believe if Alcorn State would have stayed in the East with the additions of FAMU and Bethune-Cookman, the East would not be stronger than the West?
Just go ahead and pair the teams off according to your liking, sir, from 1 to 6 from the East and the West. Who
Question
lines
is,
up with who?
If Alcorn State would have stayed in the East, then the East would have more strength than the West. They would be stronger. Yes or no?
If Alcorn stays with the East, I think it's more balanced football-wise, personally, or based on the body of work that Alcorn has done. I know.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. We could agree to disagree.
Yeah, you still gonna get your water.
Okay, and believe it or not, here we go. This is what I was talking about, and I got to make sure I get to Coach McNair at 10:30.
I'll keep you on pace.
Why are we acting like FAMU and Bethune-Cookman will be SWAC superpowers in football when North Carolina A&T dominated the MEAC? Well, North Carolina A&T also lost to Morgan State 2 years in a row, right?
Right.
FAMU had success against North Carolina A&T. And then Bethune-Cookman, that was just shocking. I had a Bethune-Cookman University alum tell me, you were wrong. You said 8 years in a row. It was 9 years in a row. No, what I am saying is I really believe that they're going to come in and they're going to try to be the best that they can be, but they're going to have to earn it. I don't think, in my opinion, that people are going to just hand it to them.
No, that's not the case. But if the truth be told, while we're talking about it, it really speaks, and you can, instead of just saying East and West, it talks about some of the underachievement that has been going on. And we're talking about football mainly right now. If you go up and down the East, a bunch of underachievement. Alabama State, Jackson State, Alabama A&M. And when you're talking about the monies invested into their programs compared to the measure of success that they've had on the field, they've underachieved. I can throw Prairie View in there, Texas Southern in there, underachievement. And it's not a matter of saying what the FAMU and Bethune-Cookman being a powerhouse, but just with the brand of football that they've been accustomed to playing in the MEAC, which has been proven to be a more physical style of play. And I know they're going to have to adjust somewhat to the style of SWAC play, but you have to look at all of the body of work that's been done. And we're not just talking about a year or two. You can go back 10 years, and all the institutions that I've named have underachieved.
Here's what Derek says. Alcorn finished tied for fourth in men's basketball. Women finished fifth in women's basketball. Valley finished last in both. What sport does Valley do better than Alcorn? And since we're discussing balance,
volleyball, soccer, and softball, they do better. And I know they don't count them as big sports, and they do a little bit better in track and field.
Of course, you know, we say we love all sports, but let's just be honest.
I know we're only talking about the
football,
big three.
Basketball, and baseball is kind of what
right.
The fans
and the truth be told, Mississippi Valley has outperformed Alcorn the past 3 to 4 years on the baseball field.
But you know, I really believe, and here's just my opinion, not a fact. Alcorn seemed to have improved last year.
In what?
In baseball, from what I've seen, what I saw. Too bad the season was cut short.
Mm-hmm.
But I, in my opinion, I think they had improved. Now, enough to say, wow, watch out for Alcorn State in baseball? No. But improvement.
I do have a couple of questions that we probably going to have to dig a little deeper to get the answers. With the addition of these two schools, the realignment and everything, they need to do something about basketball. You know how you have your earlier rival games when there's no one on campus? They need to make those rival games the last game of the season. that could have some weight factor on positioning, and you need to reduce the amount of teams that make it to the tournament, in my opinion now.
Reduce the number of teams?
Yes, that make it to the
make
tournament.
it in the tournament.
Yeah, basketball.
Don't hold your breath. But okay.
Well,
I
know, but we're talking about what was that word? Equity?
Mm-hmm.
Competitive equity? Okay.
Yes. A coup that was passed last week by Dr. Cable. The SWAC Council of Presidents and Chancellors, along with the lead athletic director. Let me do this. So much to do. So much to do. People are weighing in. I appreciate it. Derek says once again, name the 3 weakest SWAC teams currently in football. And he does that.
Okay.
In his opinion. Texas Southern Valley and UAPB.
Yes.
How can they be in the same division with also a questionable PV in their current issues?
But see,
Tell
once
us
again,
how you really feel, Derek.
Well, to Brother Derek, the key word was overall competitive equity, which we knew we threw that out the window because it's really predicated on football. Let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. But if you're talking about overall competitive equity, it would make more logical sense to bring over Alcorn. But if we're going to put all our eggs in the basket of football, I understand why you move them. I understand.
And geographically.
No, well, geographically has always been a
the word you used last week was logic.
Right.
The logic, and that's what the athletic directors, the council president, chancellors, when they looked at it, they weighed all the factors.
No doubt. I was from the beginning. I've always said
what they came, and that's what they came up with. And I know I said whatever the decision was, I would respect the decision.
Of course.
And I think the challenge will be to everybody else out there, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, you got to respect it, but it's still
respect the decision.
We're in the talk show business, and so you have to have rhyme or reason to support and back up whichever opinion that you lean on, be it heads or tails. But just as you can have 5 good reasons why it's a good move, you can have 5 good reasons why you would question the move. But from the vantage point that I was looking at when we talk about overall competitiveness, and all you got to do is compare apples to apples, 5 years, 10 years of the body of work that the institutions have said. But bottom line, like I stated, those institutions that are receiving the new addition, they're going to have to step their games up. And that's what that is. And like I stated, you go back, all of them, including my beloved Panthers, they have underachieved across the board. Not just one particular sport, but in overall sport competitiveness, they have all underachieved.
Well, it is going to apply pressure. There will be no off week, no matter what sport you're coaching at, no matter what program you're the CEO of, meaning director of athletics. You're going to have to bring your A game. And I think the move, as far as balance and overall competitive equity, I would give the committee an A. Not an E for effort, but an A for taking all of the matters at hand, the facts, opinions, and they weighed it, and they came up with the decision. Speaking of decisions, Jackson State removes John Hendrick as head football coach. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the big story, whether you want to say the street committee, but guess what? I really looked at I really worked my sources, my trusted sources, and I'm going to look at this situation. Ashley Robinson, the AD at Jackson State, Coach Hendrick, on an interim basis, 2-year contract up December. Of course, football is going to be played in the spring. At least that's what they're hoping for. He's out now. He's out. And it kind of hit him like a ton of bricks. I don't believe he expected that to happen to him. But Football Scoop was the first source that I kind of saw, hey, there was some movement going on at Jackson State. Now, current offensive coordinator and former JSU football player T.C. Taylor is reportedly a candidate to become the program's next head coach. Here's a statement from Ashley Robinson, JSU athletic director, in consultation, with President Hudson, and after a thorough review and evaluation of all aspects of our football program, I have decided that a change in leadership is in the best interest of our program and university. He said in a statement, I want to thank Coach Hendrick for the hard work he has done with our football program. I wish John much success in the future. Hendrick went 24-34 in 2 seasons at Jackson State, including 5-5 in the SWAC after taking over from Tony Hughes in 2018. That's a fact. Here's my opinion. Never was Ashley Robinson's guy. Never was. And now, with that being said, this hire will be very important, crucial to get it right. You mentioned the Comedy curse. Coach Hughes, Coach Jackson, Coach Bell, yes, I said it, the bell tolls. Director of Athletics, you've had multiple moves in that department as well, in that position. Even at the university president's situation. It is important for JSU to get it right. A strong JSU helps the Southwestern Athletic Conference. My question to you out there, do you believe Mr. Robinson will nail it? Will he get it right? Then you have the report of Deion Sanders, a candidate, not a candidate. But again, on this one, I'm gonna work closely with my source at JSU, or sources, and follow this. A couple of weeks, maybe, we'll hear something. John Hendrick out as head football coach at Jackson State. And then, as we get ready to go to a timeout, legendary Georgetown coach John Thompson dies at 78. Boy, when you this 6'10" black guy, tough. This guy was a tremendous coach, and a funny story. And growing up, you always say that if you're a big man, a big guy, you will get the fundamentals taught to you by the friendly big guy, Big John, at Georgetown. But I was the host of another show years ago, and I had the opportunity, thanks to Floyd Kerr at the time, who set up the interview, to interview John Thompson. Also, I had coming up was Coach Thomas, the track and field coach at Southern University. Do you know that I called Coach John Thompson Coach John Thomas 2 times? And the third time, well, I did it twice. The third time I did it, actually 3. Coach Thompson said, Carlos, you keep calling me Thomas. The name is Thompson. Okay? What a blooper moment. And my mind was thinking about who I had coming up, but it should have been focused on who I was talking to right then. Boy, what a blooper, but what a guy. You know, he kicked up a lot of fire about Proposition 48, but also led Georgetown to the 1984 National Championship. So, journey well, Big John, legendary Georgetown coach, Coach John Thompson Jr. Take a quick time out. When I come back, head coach Fred McNair of the Alcorn State Braves. And I'm going to tell you now, if somebody says, who wants that smoke, I'm going to come after you. I'm going to come after you. But, hey, he's just simply got it done. I'm going to have a discussion with him coming up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swakalumniassociation@yahoo.com.
Chris, can you put the video game controller down for a second?
I can talk and play. Oh, I'm totally annihilating this punk kid in Nebraska.
I just feel like you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
Well, you still ride your skateboard to work, there's the comic book collection, the race car bed.
Look, I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I picked up a few savings tips at feedthepig.org. I have control of my financial life now, and that feels pretty grown up.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. For free ideas and easy tips on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
So, I bet I look like a grown-up to you now.
Well, except for the footy pajamas, I'd have to agree.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Come on.
Laptops, MP3 players, cameras, video games, cell phones. In times like these, schools can become a shopping mall for thieves. Don't become a victim of crime. Leave your valuable stuff at home, and if you do have to bring them to school, keep them with you. Write down their serial numbers, and don't flash expensive items around. Be smart. If you have something cool, there's a good chance someone else will want it too. Keep cash and ATM cards in a secure place, and never give anyone your PIN number. And don't leave your school bag lying around where it can become a temptation to someone else. If you have something stolen, report the situation immediately. The sooner you tell someone, the better the chance you'll get it back. Visit ncpc.org to learn more about how to prevent school theft. That's ncpc.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Attention all coaches. Whatever your sport is, we want to tell your story. Dial our 24 hours, 7 days a week message line at 713-570-6736. Leave your game results, team results, and player results on our 24-hour message line, 713-570-6736. Have sports, will travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Broadcast live each and every week right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. We're trying to get in contact with Coach McNair. So we still have some time left, and we'll leave it open. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk with Coach Fred McNair. So we're still trying to reach him. So be patient, and if we don't get a chance to talk with him, then I'll let you know. So letting you know that. Back to the new SWAC realignment. Of course, Alcorn State to the Western Division. A lot of discussion now on social media is the format. And actually, the SWAC does, in their release, talk about the new realignment of divisions will not impact traditional conference rivalries. The league is currently in the process of finalizing adjustments to future scheduling and championship formats. Additional information regarding schedules and championships will be announced at a later date. Of course, for the sake of information, SWAC Eastern Division now, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State in the West, Alcorn State, Grambling State, Prairie View A&M, Southern, Texas Southern, and University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. So with that being said, in 2021, big discussions on social media about the actual format. Will it be 5-3? Of course, if you are Alabama State, you'll play everybody in your division, and then you will play 3 in the Western Division. Or will it be, you'll play your divisional 5, because there's 6 teams in the conference. And I thought in previous conversations with the commissioner that 2 common cross-division opponents and then rotating everyone else. Now, I'll double-check on that, but that's kind of been the discussion. And then who will be if that is the case, who will be your permanent cross-divisional permanent opponents? Well, of course, the possibilities run wild. Now that Alcorn State's in the West, I would think Jackson State would be a permanent. Who would be the other permanent Eastern Division opponent? And then, of course, rotating. Some have said they don't remember the commissioner saying that. So what I will do is, go to the source. But I'm sure they're going to release all of that information in the upcoming weeks. But back to what I said, it basically is going to really put some pressure on everyone, meaning coaches. And now if you look at what Alcorn State has done, back-to-back champions, just much success in the Eastern Division, with them moving to the West now in all sports, but in football, it's going to really open up some things. Here's what I mean. Of course, the success they've had against Southern University. We know this. Okay. Well, let me do this. Let me hold that point. Let me take a quick break. Again, we're trying to connect with Coach Fred McNair. So I'll give you an update on that, but I'm going to take a quick time out. When I come back, it'll be more of the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact on our local and regional high school and college student athletic coverage. We provide talk shows, live game coverage, and much, much more. But we need your support to move forward. Visit our website today at obnradio.com. Click on the PayPal button, which is safe and secure, and become a listening partner today. At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact. 17 cents a day comes out to $60 a year. Will you become part of the Open Mic Broadcast Network team? Visit that website at obnradio.com and become a listening partner today. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. My first guest of today's show, we've got him, Coach Fred McNair, head football coach of the back-to-back SWAC football champions. Coach Fred McNair, good morning to you, Coach.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing, man, this morning?
You know, we're doing fine, and we appreciate the time, and got a lot of your Alcorn State alums and fans listening right now. They're glad to get a chance to be able to hear you talk with us today. So once again, we appreciate the time, Coach. You've been doing well?
Man, I've been doing good, man. Just trying to stay busy around this time, man. This pandemic moment, you know, this COVID-19 stuff it's a bummer, man, and it's been affected. I guess the entire university as far as what we have to do to try and get these kids back and being safe, you know. So that's the biggest thing. I think university-wise, I think they're doing a great job of putting protocols together to make it safe for the kids on their return back, you know. I'm excited myself, you know, just seeing some faces on the campus, man.
Yeah, you know, Coach, I can understand that. I've talked to many directors of athletics in the conference, some coaches, and it's a day-by-day plan that you have to be flexible with dealing with COVID-19. So I really do understand that. First and foremost, Coach, I want to congratulate you on back-to-back SWAC football championships, of course. And Coach, if you kind of look at the 2019 season, and then we'll move forward to now, the overall success of the Alcorn State football program, what is the reason why you guys have been so successful?
I'll tell you what, man, it's a job that I think that the coaching staff and the players just dedicate themselves to, man, and just staying focused, and the consistencies that we have in our program, you know, from year to year, you know, things don't change as much in what we do in terms of football-wise, and on the recruiting aspect of it. You know, you look at the way we recruit, and I think the coach does a great job going out and identifying these young men that's on our program in the university as well. We stress a lot on in recruiting. The biggest part is going out and selling the university, and then, you know, selling our program to the young men that we're trying to recruit. And I think that's the biggest thing that we do as a staff to make the success in recruiting so great. And, you know, just going in the house and visiting with the parents and things of that nature, getting them to buy into what you're trying to do. And also too, you know, the coaching staff that we have, you know, I don't really go out and change coaching staff. I don't have 3 offensive coordinators in probably 4 years now. You know, what I do, I I promote within, my system, and that's the thing that these guys understand that any time that the next guy may be a coordinator for what we do, defensive sides as well. When Coach Tony Peck left, Coach Thomas, I moved him to D coordinator. When he left, went to Pine Bluff. Coach Thornton sitting right there in the wing. So why not promote these guys? These guys work good together, and I kind of see what they do as a head coach. And I'm not a micromanaged guy, but I watch these guys when they coach. So that's the biggest thing.
Oh, Coach McNair, micromanage. Oh, Coach, I almost shouted on the radio, and I don't want to do that. I want to say professional, but micromanaging, you don't do that. I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to come back to that. But if I could, Coach, last season, what was so impressive to me was in the McNeese State game, although it was a loss, something happened in that game. You lost a quarterback. Then a young man who, from the outside looking in, didn't know anything about, Felix Harper, he comes into that game, and then going forward, you guys as a staff were able to evolve, or if you want to say adapt, your offense around Felix Harper, and it happened instantly. Talk about that, and was that maybe, if you look back at 2019 season, I'm sure there were many memories. Could you maybe point to that moment as a specific example?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is, and take for me for example, I've been coaching quarterbacks for a long time. I coached John Gibbs, Lawrence Footman, those guys, man. And when that happened, you always have to have a guy that's ready. It wasn't no doubt that Felix Harper wasn't ready to play. He's always been biting at the bit to play and getting ready in terms of practice and the mental reps that he took when Noah was in there, and he was ready to play. And I got told him, I talked to his mom, his dad, and they always talking about Coach when he's gonna play. I said he's gonna play. When he play, he's gonna be ready to play. That's the thing that we try to get these guys to understand. We don't want to throw you in the fire if you're not ready. That's the easy way to lose a player confidence. If you throw them in there and they're not ready, and things bad happening to them, and they lose their confidence. But Felix was ready to play, and Pat did a great job with him. Getting prepared every week when Noah went down, and that was the thing. Every year that I've been here at Alcorn State University, we always had a quarterback to go down the senior year. And I'm not going to rule for that because I hope this don't happen to Felix. But I always tell the guy, you're one play away from playing. That's always across the board, offense, defense, special team. But I want you to be ready when the time comes. I don't want you to not be prepared. So I think he was ready, and when controversy, when it hit, and it does, you got to be ready. When adversity strikes, you got to be ready. So at that McNeese State game, we saw the fit that, the Noah went down and got hurt. And Felix, we come back and score 14 unanswered points and lose the ball game 17-14. That just to show the kind of player that he is. But he's an intelligent guy. He's got football knowledge and knows what to do with the football when he gets in his hand. So it wasn't a surprise to me. Everybody asked me, it wasn't a surprise to me because I knew when it's time for him to play that he was going to be ready.
Coach, that was, the transition was so smooth. And, there was the debates about, Felix Harper, Alabama A&M's quarterback, Mr. Glass. But what he did and what he meant to Alcorn State's team, to me, from the outside looking in, was just a smooth transition, and it was a tremendous feat, and it shows to me the character of this young man, but also back to your staff being able to identify and adapt quickly. Just a smooth transition. I just would like to say, Coach, just smooth.
A lot of coaches, they let the ego stand in the way a lot of times. And, you have to let go of your pride sometimes, man. And this professional, sometimes you have to build what this kid can do instead of you forcing the kid to do what you want him to do. You know what I'm saying? So we knew what the things that Felix could do and the things that he couldn't do. And that's the biggest thing, man. You have to swallow your pride sometimes and say, look, we just got to do it this way. This is what this kid can do. So instead of trying to force him to do something within your system, and let it be known that Felix been in the system for a long time. He's a fifth-year senior. And so those are things that as a head coach and offensive coordinator and quarterback coach that you have to look at in terms of what we're doing. That's why, I could never put Felix in a situation where I bring a new offensive coordinator in and learn a new system within his senior year. I'm not doing that kid any justice. Let's just do this. Let's promote one of these guys up and make them offensive coordinator within my system and what we got going, and let's work. And I think that's the biggest thing, man. And the consistency of this program, and just the fact that these guys come in and can work hard every week, every day, in the weight room, conditioning, and things of that nature, just putting forth the effort. And they know our expectations. When they come into this program, what our expectation is. We got a winning tradition. We got a formula for winning. And all they can do is just come in and insert yourself in and do a job.
Visiting with Coach Fred McNair, head football coach of Alcorn State University. Coach, speaking of transitioning, now no fall football, spring 2021 if things go according to plan. Kind of get your thoughts on your perspective on football being played in the spring 2021, and you speak of expectations, still the same. You expect to compete for a SWAC championship if the season goes on as planned. Eastern Division, your last Eastern Division title, because I'm going to come follow that up with getting your thoughts on moving to the Western Division of the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, I think in terms of when you talk about fall football and everybody's just ready for it, in terms of the COVID-19 and the virus that's going on and this pandemic moment, I think our commissioner, Dr. McCullum, did a great job of preparing us for this, not having a season, in terms of what we have to do to make sure these young men are safe, these camps are safe for sports-wise, and moving everything to the spring. Give a little more time to everything to kind of calm down with this COVID-19 and see how it works out. But I think that it was great for us to not even play this year. I mean, I couldn't imagine playing football and have to worry about all these things that's going on right now. But give it time to slow down, move it to the spring, see how it works out, and I don't have an issue with it. The biggest thing is it kind of sets us back in terms of the NCAA rules as far as recruiting and going on road, visiting homes and stuff like that. But that's the only thing that kind of stands out that I really wish that things could change in that nature for what we're doing as far as the NCAA. But they have their rules and we have to abide by them. So we have to follow compliance and make sure that we're doing right by the young men as well. So I'm all for it. I'm excited about it. And you know what? It's right around the corner, though. So people think fall football, but I think this year is moving out. And it's right around the corner. January will be here before you know it. So I'm excited about it. It's good.
And Coach, speaking of that, and you're right, January right around the corner. Biggest questions you think going into the spring 2021 season? Will there be a lot of competition as a backup to Felix Harper, and defensively, will you guys still try to do what you've been doing, being very aggressive and dominant?
The biggest thing is for us, I think we focus more on our number two than more than we do at number one position. We make sure the number two guys are actually ready to play, more than focus on the number one guy, because number one guy, they get most of the reps anyway. But just staying focused on that number two in all positions, whether it's on defense, offense, or special teams. I think we pay more attention to the number two guy than we do our starters, because they supposed to know. You know what I'm saying? They supposed to know. They've been in the system, but the number two guys, whether you have a backup or a freshman coming in, getting ready to play, we have to pay more attention to those guys, make sure they're ready, So I think in terms of Felix backup, I think we'll be solid. I think Coach Gray is coming in from that quarterback position, coaching position. He's going to do a phenomenal job. Got great knowledge of the game. Just visiting with him and just talking with him, and his interview was out the water. He blew it up, man. I tell you, he did a phenomenal job for us coming in his interview. But just him being there and getting understanding what these guys can and cannot do within this system, I think it's going to help us out a lot. But yeah, we always focus on that number two guy. So, I think that Javon Russell coming in, he still got to compete. I want these guys to move Felix. That's what I tell them all the time. I want y'all to come and be the number one guy. I don't care if it's a freshman, a redshirt freshman. I want y'all to be the starter. That's what I tell them every year. I said, Felix, I want y'all to move Felix.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's what I want to do. I want to move Felix out the way. That's just competition, Give them an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to compete for this number one job. And that's what those guys been doing ever since my tenure been here. That's what I teach. That's what I coach. I coach these guys to be that guy. Not just settle for the number two position. I want you to play. I want you to come in and play. So that's the biggest thing. And defensive wise, I think Coach Thornton came in as a defensive coordinator, and the linebacker coach has done a phenomenal job with that defense, man. I tell you, he's a football guy. And we talk all the time. He comes to my office and we sit down and we just talk, in terms of, he loves the SWAC. I mean, he's a SWAC guy. He come from Alabama State and played Alabama State, Jacksonville Jaguars, NFL, but he loved the SWAC. And that's just him. He loved what he do. He have a passion for it. And ain't no doubt that our defense will always play fast and hard every snap. So I watch those guys at practice and the way they compete in practice, and it carries over in the game. So defensive wise, I think that he's done a great job of coming in and being a great defense coordinator for us.
Yeah, excuse me. Well, Coach McNair, I've seen that defense up close and personal. Last two championships. Humbling experience. And I'm not even out there playing. Just observing. But we'll move from that. And the Western Division now, it was released publicly this week. Alcorn State now in the Western Division. I want to get your thoughts, your thoughts on that, and then also, since we have you here, FAMU and Bethune-Cookman University coming to the conference. Can one say that there's no off week now, and everyone's going to have to up their game? But your perspective on those two things.
Well, the biggest thing is, and I tell the coaches all the time, we had the head coaches meeting in Birmingham, and we was talking about, possibly somebody gonna move to the West. And see, the thing about Alcorn State University football and its program, we always have played the best teams in the West, and whether it's Grambling, whether it's Southern, whether it's Prairie View, Pine Bluff, or Texas Southern, we always have had those three top challenges every year with Grambling, Southern, and Prairie View. So, we always play the West. We seem like we're in the West anyway, so we play those guys, we play those three top teams over there anyway. So, from my perspective, I mean, it's good for us. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, for us to be over there with those guys. And, and it'll be great. I mean, it'll be fun football as always. You know, we still have to compete every Saturday. You know, I tell my kids we have to lace those cleats up every Saturday and come out and play our best football. Whether we're on the East or the West, you know, we got to lace them up and come out and compete. So, but just being over there and with those guys and you know, it'll be great, man. I'm excited about it. Get opportunity to, you know, possibly, you know, be the first team in the SWAC to win on both sides of the division, you know. So we're excited about it, man. We gonna work hard and, as always we did and compete hard and everything. So we gonna do our best to be prepared every week, every Saturday. Mm-hmm. But with FAMU and Bethune-Cookman, I tell you what, I played FAMU when I was playing back in the early '80s, and it's always been a good matchup. You know, if it's there or here, but it's been a great matchup every time we play those guys. And I coached with Willie Simmons, and when he was here at Alcorn State, and I got a chance to play Bethune probably for about a quarter and a half and they swept me at challenge. So, but you know, Coach Sims did a great job with Bethune. You know, he's gonna be ready to play. You know, there's more competition. I think Dr. McCullum did a great job of reaching out and getting those guys to come into one of the most premier conference that ever been in college football. I think the SWAC is really doing well in terms of under his leadership. You know, now, so he's doing a great job of promoting the SWAC in terms of what he's doing. He got a great staff. I got a chance to meet his whole entire staff. They work great together, man, and I think he's a guy that got a vision for this SWAC conference, and I think he's going to do a great job in the future with it. So my hats off to him and his staff and the things they're doing to make this conference one of the premier conference in college football.
I would agree with that, and Coach, in my closing, I really believe that Alcorn State and you and your staff, you're confident. You're really confident, and you don't have to brag. You can back it up by looking at your body of work. For your alums and your supporters that are listening of Alcorn State, you got any closing comments for them?
No, I just encourage them to continue to support this university and our president, Dr. Nave, and the things that she's doing to make this university great, and just encourage those guys to just continue to donate to the foundations and support these football programs and as well as all the other sports, you know, and continue to do their body of work to make this university a success. I think that over the past years that the alumni, the fans have been great. I know to us, the university, in terms of what they're doing and support. So just continue to support us and support this university and this athletic department in terms of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to bring to the table in terms of sports and make every program a success. You know, and just the support that they give means a lot to, I think, all sports that we have here at Alcorn State in terms of that. But just continue to support and look forward to the spring season, and we'll see you in the spring. Hopefully everything works out, and go Braves.
Well, Coach, I'm getting messages now. Who wants that smoke? Well, that's what they're going to always say. And, Coach, someone said, would you love to see a round 3? Spring 21 championship with Southern and Alcorn again?
I tell you what, man, it is always fun to play Southern, man. I mean, they bring a great crowd, man. I'm telling you, they're phenomenal, man. And you know, I've never been in a game of that magnitude in a SWAC championship 2 years in a row playing against Southern, man. I'm talking about it is always tough. And Coach Odom is doing a great job with that program down there at Southern, man. And it's always good to be on one side of the field across and see him on the other side, you know, during those championship, man. It is great, man. And that magnitude of a game is always good to have. And I'm always up to a challenge. So But yeah, if it's Southern and us again, I'm always up to that challenge, man. But we just got to make sure that we come out and have a great spring season and get these kids ready to play in terms of what we expect and our expectation of this program getting back to that SWAC championship.
On that note, we'll end it. Coach McNair, appreciate the time. First time interviewing you on the Carlos Brown Show. Hopefully it won't be the last time. You enjoy the rest of your weekend. You and your family continue to be safe. And I will hopefully see you in Baton Rouge in May.
All right, man. I also appreciate it. Look forward to it, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach McNair. Appreciate
you. Trying to slide over there and over there.
Oh yeah, I gotta have a little fun there, Coach. It's all in fun. Take care, Coach.
All right, thanks.
All right. That was Coach Fred McNair, head football coach at Alcorn State. You know me, I had to get that one in there. But you know what? There has been a lot of pain under this laugh. And I'm just going to be honest with you. So, 2021 spring season, Alcorn State wants to end being Eastern Division champs and SWAC championship, SWAC football champions. Can anyone stop them? That is the question. Promoting from within, what he said, having a system, he mentioned that. And then also, one of the key things, and I've gotten people to text message me saying they love the point about micromanaging, and he doesn't believe in that. And if you look at his demeanor on the sideline, he's the CEO. But as I often stated, those position coaches, they mean so much to a program. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know your personnel and you don't put them in a position to be successful, you're just wasting that talent. On that note, take a quick time out. When I come back, I'm going to visit with Coach Pettaway. I'm sure we're going to, that's right, I got to rub it into him too, Dr. Prince. He predicted Valley. All of these people predicted Valley. My goodness, as I take another sip of the spring water. No, I'm not going to choke. No, buddy. You can live without food for much longer than water. It's a life liquid. And when I come back, I'll visit with Coach Van Pettaway. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and many, many more. And we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I've just been formerly charged with tampering. My listener says, leave Coach Thornton alone. I didn't think I went after Coach Thornton. But if you're just tuning in, I just visited with Coach Fred McNair, head football coach of the Alcorn State Braves. Now, it is always a pleasure to have a conversation with Coach Van Pettaway. Coach Pettaway, good morning to you, sir.
Well, good morning, Carlos. I'm doing fine, and I hope everyone else is doing well. And I know you got to be on top of the world because I want to start off by saying that all of us last week were wrong. You had it right. I mean, I guess you had an inside track because when I first saw the announcement of the SWAC realignment this week, the first thing that popped into my mind was, okay, we got a lot of egg on our face because Carlos called this. Yep, so congratulations. You were right, and I was wrong. I thought when they said competitive balance and looking at the financial part, I thought that automatically meant that Mississippi Valley would be on the other side. But nope, Alcorn State, so we all have to live with it.
Coach, do you think he was cheating? You think he had some cheat notes, Coach?
Well, you know, he's been in the business a long time. He probably had some inside info that we weren't not aware of.
Yeah, that's all right. But I got to send him some of that sweet Louisiana spring water. But we're gonna be all right. I'm gonna happily send it to him.
Okay, well, yeah, well, that's good.
Look, I didn't say some of that Texas barbecue.
Well, yeah, I'll send you some of that too, just for good measure.
Because I was gonna, if you would have won that wager, I was gonna send you some of that Louisiana seafood gumbo, unless you can't eat seafood.
Man, I can eat seafood, S food, Z food. I eat it all.
Yeah, that's like me. I see food and I eat it.
Well, I understand that, and I appreciate you're giving credit where credit is due, but somehow, I don't know if it's punishment, but Alcorn State coming to the Western Division, yep, competitive equity. That's what it does. It's going to be so exciting because, Coach Pettaway, if you look at it, some people are kind of depressed today because before this thing called the pandemic hit, COVID-19, you had the Jaguar Nation in Detroit, Michigan for a game. Alcorn State in the SEC against Auburn University. In other words, everyone would be excited. They have a long weekend, Labor Day weekend, and now that's not going to happen, at least until the spring 2021, and if not, fall 2021. But I can understand people missing out on something that they enjoy attending.
Right. There were a lot of people across the nation that they're in a sour mood today because, football brings about a lot of change this time of the year. And if your mind was set to have football and then it's taken away from you, there are a lot of people that are in withdrawal this weekend because of this, because football means a lot to a lot of fans, a lot of people across the country. But this is the new norm for this fall, and we'll get through it. And for those football teams that are not competing in the fall, most of them have decided to follow the SWAC's lead and play in the spring. So they'll get it. They just have to wait on it just a little bit longer.
Visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, a couple of things I just want to get his perspective on. One, we shared a text message this past week. Talk to me about Big John. Lives there at Georgetown. Coach passes away, and you had a chance to meet with him on several times.
Oh, yes.
Talk about what he meant.
Well, he meant a great deal to the game of college basketball. He meant a great deal to the up and coming coaches that he came in contact with because he really set a good example. He was one of the first coaches that put emphasis on the academic, the total person. He wasn't just concerned with his players playing basketball. He wanted those guys to get degrees. He wanted those guys to leave Georgetown and go into the world and be prosperous, to spread the wealth. And he was the kind of guy that helped a lot of people. In other words, he set the example. He showed us what it is to push your players hard, but at the same time, you got to love them. He was a great man. At the Final Fours, I look forward to going to the Final Fours because I had an opportunity to meet him in person. He and Coach Mack, Coach Joe, Big House Gaines, all those guys would always meet every Friday, every Saturday morning at the Final Fours, and you just talk. You just sat down. Don Chaney. I met all these guys because as an assistant, I would just go and just sit and listen and absorb. And I can remember him telling me one time that I was doing the right thing by sitting around these other guys, soaking up the knowledge that they were putting out there. So it was a great feeling for me. I've always respected him. I love what he stood for, and he was just a fantastic person. And back in the day when we first started the Black Coaches Association, he was a big part of that. He was very outspoken, and he always fought for the rights of the coaches and the players. He was the first person to stand up against, at the time, it was Proposition 42, which eventually turned to Proposition 48. He was the first person to stand out publicly against that. So he he did what he had to do to make sure that our voices were heard. And his impact will be, he will be truly missed because he had a great impact on the game of basketball.
There's a quote contributed to him, and it's about Proposition 42 that later became 48. It's an NCAA measure that would ban academically ineligible freshmen from receiving scholarship. Thompson said he protested because he believed the proposition aimed to limit opportunities for minority students. And here's his quote: "I've done this because out of frustration, you're limited in your options of what you can do in response to something I felt was very wrong." He said, "This is my way of bringing attention to a rule a lot of people were not aware of, one which will affect a great many individuals." And so kind of what you were talking about. And Coach Pettaway, in your conversations, did you ever get the chance to get his thoughts on or talk to him about coaching at a historically Black college and university? And was he, did he have anything to say about that?
Well, yeah, his whole thing was about not just for Black college. It was about loyalty. You being loyal to the cause. He really liked the fact that, Coach Joe was my mentor, and if you came to the Final Four, you didn't see one of us without the other, and that was we did that for over 40-some years, where we went to the Final Fours together, and I was one of the people. I was out there to learn professional development, so I would try to pick up everything I could from these guys, and Coach Thompson and Big House Gaines. Those guys would sit down and they'll tell you like it is. I mean, they didn't sugarcoat it, and that's what you got when you had the group settings. No more than 10 or 15 of us at a time, and then of course when they got up to speak in front of hundreds at the BCA and at the convention, then that was a little bit different, but you got that personal touch, and you heard the personal things, their struggles, the things that they went through, and they tried to make sure that the coaches that came behind them had a better chance and a better life, and it came through. I mean, true, because they were the trailblazers. They did the things. They did the hard work. They had most of the racism because we had some, but not as much as they had to go through. And it was just interesting just to sit and hear how on the recruiting trails, there was only certain hotels that they could find refuge in, about how many times that they may get off course and have to sleep in the car, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing that the public doesn't know. But these are all the kinds of things that they share with me and whatever other young coach that wanted to be around them to listen.
They called him also a gentle giant. And one of the things that was very touching, I had to go back and kind of look at Coach Thompson and Allen Iverson. You know, he had gotten into some trouble. Yep. And during his speech, Allen Iverson said Coach Thompson literally saved his life. And that was very, very touching. And he was also a developer of the big men, the post players.
Right.
And Shaquille O'Neal said if he didn't come to LSU, boom, Georgetown. But, you know, Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, and, of course, Allen Iverson, coach, he, in so many ways, he reminds me of someone else, you know, speaks his mind. He's tough. His graduation rate was out of sight. And he was a disciplinarian. Do we still have Coach there?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I'm sorry. You say You say he reminds you of some.
Yeah, he reminds me of you from the outside looking in.
Oh no,
the way you kind of to run your program.
Right. Well, that's it. That's where the comparison stops because I'm nowhere near what Coach Thompson is or was. He was a great guy. We believe in a lot of the same things. I stressed to my players about getting their degree because I even stressed it even more. I said, you look at it now, you're here at Alabama A&M because the other people didn't take you or you didn't have that opportunity. So that means that your chances of making it on the next level are even that lesser. So let's go ahead and get our degree so we will have something to fall back on because you got to have a plan A and a plan B. Your plan A might be that in the back of your mind that you want to play basketball on the next level, but what happens when that does not come to fruition? You got to have that degree to fall back on. So with Coach Thompson pushing the academic piece, I think that opened the eyes to a lot of people. And then what he was doing, this is what they really don't understand. The reason why he was so hard on his people, his players, to get their degrees, he wanted to show the other coaches on the Power 5 level that they were not thinking about the academic side of the kids. So he wanted to make sure that his kids in his program graduated. And he had a predominantly black team. You know, he's in a predominantly white league, but, you know, he had one of the first teams that was 80-90% black. And he wanted to make sure that those kids led by example. He wanted to show those other coaches that these kids were students first and that they should be concentrating on getting their degrees. And like he said, if a kid that stayed and played for him for 4 years, he was like 98% with his graduation rate. And that was because you knew coming in the door, the tradition was already there in terms of winning on the court, but he was also winning off the court. So you had to buy into that if you wanted to be a part of the program. And if you didn't buy in, he let you go. And so that's what he meant. That's what he meant about the ones that stayed and played for 4 years. Because the ones that came in there and did not want to be a part of the total program, he got them out of there. He didn't just keep them there because of their talent. He got rid of them. He didn't care how talented you were. If you weren't going to go to class, if you were not serious about getting a degree, then Georgetown was not the place for you. Yeah. And I respect him for that. And he'll always be remembered for that.
Well, to be in the conversation, just listening to him, Coach Thompson and Coach Chaney. Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's power. That's
yes,
power.
Sir.
And spoke their mind, and to some controversial. But hey, no, just spoke their mind. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I'm listening to Coach talk about how Thompson, showed his loyalty and father figureness to his ball players. I can remember so vividly when the hometown crowd was not so favorable with Patrick Ewing. They used to throw bananas out on the court and you know, talk about his features and this, that, and the other. And I'll never forget, he addressed it during the middle of a game and told him this is not acceptable. And I can remember this was like 83, 84, and he stood up for his players on and off the court. And I'm listening to Coach talk about that, and he brings back to mind that and I'm not saying that's not the case with these coaches today, but someone who showed it, whether the cameras were rolling or not, he was always instrumental and was a great draw for many ball players, whether they had the talent or not, to wish that they could play at Georgetown.
Yep. Yeah. And a national championship in 1984.
Right.
Man.
And then remember when he won the national championship, he didn't want you to say that he was the first African American coach. He didn't want that label.
Mm-hmm.
Because his thing was, he was the first one that had an opportunity. He told them there were many more that were capable of winning national championships. They just never got the opportunity. And Coach Mack was one of the people that he mentioned. You know, he never got the opportunity to coach on this level, and he's letting them know, because had he had that opportunity, he would have won a national championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the opportunities were not there. So he and Coach Chaney and all those guys, they wanted to make sure that they paved the way for the rest of us who wanted to look at basketball as a profession. And they did an outstanding job in what they had to endure and the example that they set, and particularly Coach Thompson.
Journey well. That's what I like to say. Journey well. Coach Thompson. He's going to be missed physically, but in the spiritual realm, his presence still will be there.
Right. And see, I already know this. I already know this for a fact. When Coach Thompson transitioned on, Coach Joe was waiting on him up there, and they did just like they do at the Final Four. Coach Joe told him, "You let me handle the offense, you handle the defense, and let's go. Let's roll."
Yes, indeed.
Let's roll. So they're having a great time.
Playing that tenacious defense, and then the guy who says the court, every piece of the court, 94 foot, and give me 80 to 90 shots, he's going to take care of it. Speaking of shots, these NBA playoffs, you know, my prediction, you know, see, I'm not right all the time. I predicted Toronto and the Clippers.
Right.
Toronto is in trouble. Although, did you see that play?
Oh, yes.
The other night, that's why you play to the last. It says 0-0 on.
You got to let that horn go off. Yep.
Do you believe did that save Toronto's season if we look at it right now?
No, I don't know if it saved their season. I just know that we're seeing some outstanding basketball. And Carlos, it's one thing I wish I could find out. I know that they're playing on two separate courts, right? Down in the bubble.
Two? Is it two or more? Maybe two.
Well, I know it's at least two. My question is, what are the shooting percentages on the different courts? You know, no, I'm serious. I'm serious because some games the offense is in high gear.
Mm-hmm.
Other games is not. Are they playing on a different court? That's why I would want to know. I tried to look it up. I tried to Google it, but it didn't give me the proper information. But I really think that one of those courts has a better shooting environment than the other.
Well, that is interesting, and I'll check, as that word again, sources, to see what I could come up with. But I can tell you this. I know one team who is basically, and there's a couple, but man, toughness. I call them the alpha dog and the young guns. And they may not win it, but guess what? If you play Miami, you in for a fight.
Right. You better strap on. Remember, I told you that was the dark horse. I said, people better look out for Miami. And it's because of what they do on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
They really get after you, and then they find different players on different nights are going to turn up for them offensively. They're playing 2 rookies, Hero and the other kid that are rookies this year, and they're playing well. They're playing well in spots, and then of course, Jimmy Butler had that great first game, and then he bounced back again last night. So they're a team because they sell out on the defensive end. They're gonna always be in games. So to me, Milwaukee's in trouble. They're in big trouble.
Well, getting this in social media now, boy, taking a beating, and I don't like to kick anyone when they're down. As I look loosely when I say that, but you know what's coming if they get swept. Wow,
yep.
It is going to be a rough off season for the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 1 seed overall, best record in the NBA.
Yep.
And Coach, did Miami take their heart the other night?
Well, Miami has their hand around their heart, and they're getting ready to pull it out. It is not out yet, but they got their hand in there. They got that grip in there.
Yeah, I caught it 2 places. The throat was one. But
yep.
That is, and with the Heat offensively, they move the ball, ball movement, and to me, I've never seen a Heat team shoot from the perimeter as well as the guys that they have now. Of course, against Duncan Robinson, and you have Hero. I mean, and here's the thing. Also, I want to ask you about. They make the point of a lot of these. They've got 2 or 3 players on the team who are undrafted.
Right.
So what does that say about the evaluation of talent? And then the word is used a lot, Heat culture. And people's like, oh, that's just an old saying. But there is a culture to the way that they do things at Miami. I'm just very proud of them. I mean, if they don't go any further after this series, then it still has been a success.
Is this the same guy who was saying that you was going to have to go to Miami and tell Pat Riley to hang it up?
I still feel that way.
Okay,
because,
but he's the one assessing the talent, though, right?
What did Coach McNair talk about?
The system.
You can't micromanage.
Right.
And there's been some that Pat Riley has said they give a shot to him every few minutes up in the crowd, or at least he's masked up. But yeah, you can't micromanage now. I'm sorry.
But now Pat Riley's responsible for the talent that's in Miami now.
That's what I'm saying, Coach. But he kept saying
we'll give him credit for that.
yeah. But so he still got it then. So do you want him gone or you want him to stay?
Well, you can't run a business forever. Hopefully he has shared that talent with whoever's coming behind him to continue and carry on. See, I'm not afraid to call out my favorite organization.
Neither am I.
That's the way I see it.
Yes, sir.
Well, to me, they're doing well. I mean, to assemble, put that team together as hard as they play and as much as they play together, you don't see that very often in the NBA. And then when you look on that West side, you got people like the Lakers. They got all that talent, but now are they using it the right way? Here they are losing basketball games because they rather sit out and try to win the 3-point shooting contest, which they're not going to win. And Houston is taking it to them. Houston beat them in the regular season with that small ball, and now they're showing it up again in the playoffs. And unless the Lakers put forth an effort to have a post game, they're not going to make it out of this series. Yeah, if they don't come up with a post, they got to put LeBron and Davis in the paint. When I say the paint, it could be the the high post or the low post. They got to get inside to use their height and size to their advantage. As long as Houston's keeping them on the perimeter, they're negating their height.
Now, the word logic is used a lot. Isn't that logical? You would think that starting in this game, the Lakers get that ball into the post and dominate, and you got the height advantage. In other words, it sounds like you're saying, LA, play your style. Don't play Houston style of play.
Correct.
You're playing with fire.
Correct.
Okay.
I will only say this: TV ratings. Man, I'm just saying. These guys have an off and on switch. They have an off and on switch, and it logically, you just said the word logically, right? Why would you even dare try to play 3-point game with the Rockets? Go to your strength. I'm just saying, but logically, wouldn't you just go to your strength, coach, and just run them over?
You would think so. I mean, I know I would because, I almost knocked the television off the wall.
Don't do that, coach. Don't do that.
They're sitting out there shooting 3-point shots when they should be putting the ball inside.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why, and I hate to say it, sometimes the NBA is just very predictable as far as I'm concerned. They're very predictable.
Like predicting that Miami would do as well as they've done?
No, it's all about TV ratings, man. That's all I'm going to say. It's all about TV ratings.
So you thinking that they want to extend the series?
Do you extend the series, you get more payments and TV and everything else. So make the money. Guys, we all in the bubble. So why not, guys, let's make this money. I know we on a tight year. We need to stretch this out as long as we can.
Wow. Well, they're playing with fire now.
Some more spring water.
I didn't say they're not playing with fire, coach. But it's just if I'm 6'10", going up against somebody 5'10", 6'5", there is no way I'm going to play the perimeter game with you. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Give credit to Houston for getting another team to play to their style, to their liking.
Right. And you know what? That's why a lot of college coaches, and I'm one of them, that's why I don't like NBA basketball, because of things like that. Because, number one, our kids see that, then they think that's the way they're supposed to play.
Right.
And that's not good for the college game. Because if you got Davis and LeBron, why not let them put them in beast mode and put them down on the doggone block?
The series would be over in 4 games.
Thank you.
But that's why I go back to TV ratings. It goes back. There is absolutely no way.
I call that just arrogant, bad coaching.
Right. No. The arrogance is the part. See, these egos have gotten in the way. That's what the problem is. They want to say, well, we can beat you at your game. Mm-hmm. And they're losing at Houston's game. Because they don't have the personnel to shoot the threes like Houston. Houston is built to play that way. The Lakers are not.
Watch what happens in game 2. Just watch.
Well, I mean, it happened against Portland. They didn't lose anymore.
Just watch. Man, okay.
I tell you what, I hope a team in the SWAC can have that toughness and that alpha dog like Jimmy Butler in the Miami Heat, but I'm not mentioning the name.
No, I saw one.
I hope there's a team in the conference and they don't micromanage and they get it done. Because I can live with toughness and I can live with giving it your all. And if you lose, it's not because you don't have talent.
Right.
You just lost to a better team, and I'm going to admit that happens. But at least you can say at the end of the day, I did my darndest. I did my best. I left it out on the field. Hey, they were just better.
And as coaches, that's all that we look for you to leave it all out there.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, Coach, it is always, as always, I learned something today. Always when I talk with you. But I appreciate the perspective on Coach John Thompson and what he meant to just the basketball world and the African American community.
Thank you.
Be safe. Have a great weekend, and let's plan on talking again next week.
Okay. God bless you. You all be safe. Bye-bye.
All right. You too. Yeah, that's right. Someone says drink some more of that spring water. I'm going to celebrate this for at least 6 months. Yeah.
I'm not sending you 6 months worth of spring water now.
Well, you'll get me started. You'll get me started. And the Life Liquid water.
I'll start the tap, and you just pick it up from there, right?
I got to do it. I
Yes,
got to
sir.
do it. I need to drink more water. The Life Liquid. Coming up next, I'm going to visit with Rod Walker. And, boy, I tell you, we're going to talk some NFL, some NBA, but NFL season starts, next Sunday? Boy, and I can tell you now, everyone's entitled to their opinions. Opinions are opinions and facts are facts. But you know what? The late coach Dennis Green said they are who we thought they were. So if you want to crown them, go ahead and crown them. I'm already just pissed off now with Tampa Bay. Just go ahead and give it to them. Hadn't played one doggone game. Just give them the title. The NFL South. Goodness. Okay, I'm calmed down. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more, and we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Your education, your health care, your community, your future. Your vote counts for many things. Take control. Get registered. Get educated. Get out and vote. Learn more at www.vote411.org. This is a public service announcement from Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to this final segment of today's show, Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. You know, it's a good day when a listener says, with that spring water, add a shot of Crown Royal. You know what? Don't give me ideas. Speaking of ideas, I'm going to visit with Rod Walker. Now, Rod Walker, the Times Picayune, the New Orleans Advocate. Rod, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, man. Thanks for having me on as always.
It's always a pleasure. That's right, Rod. You're familiar with the Southwestern Athletic Conference, correct, sir?
Yeah. I grew up going to SWAC games. That was my thing. So, yeah, I'm from Mississippi. Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley were the teams I watched growing up all the time.
Oh, I thought you was about to say you. Who's your favorite, if I can ask that?
Rod. Jackson State, yeah. Because I grew up 30 miles from Jackson, so that's the team I was the closest to, and I would probably say Jackson State was my favorite growing up.
Okay. I understand, and Rod, don't tell me if you'll be whispering prime time in the journalistic ear, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the rumors too. I mean, I actually heard it even before they got rid of Hendrick. People were like telling me and this was when the team who primetime, he's the coordinator for it now. They were in Mississippi, I guess like 2 Fridays ago, and they were playing a game. And so that weekend, I heard that they were supposedly having a meeting with, I heard that Jack State was having a meeting with him while he was in town, and this was before Hendricks was even out of there. So. So I don't know. I mean, I do think it's something that they're interested in. I mean, if they actually pull it off, who knows? But we'll see. I mean, you look at the timing of that Hendrick, the firing of Hendrick. I mean, it's kind of a weird time that he's firing a coach in September. Yeah. So
I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know.
When you talk about fan bases and like Southern and Jackson State, you don't want to get on the bad side at all. And things to move quickly. Right. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you say it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but Rod, we will definitely be looking and keeping our eyes and ears on the situation. Wow, just had a listener want me to ask you a question there. Rod. Ask Rod, isn't most of his friends Alcorn fans?
My friends?
Mm-hmm.
Mine were pretty split, man. Like I had some at all 3 schools, but again, Jackson State was just a little closer. But yeah, I mean, I had a bunch of friends at Alcorn too, and obviously in that little 4-year run in the '90s where everybody in Mississippi was an Alcorn fan. So, when Steve was there, I mean, it was something to behold. So yeah, I got friends that are at all places, and probably a few more at Jackson State, again, just because it was just so close to my hometown. So.
I understand. Well, in our remaining minutes, Rod, I want you to tell me, we're going to talk a little NBA and NFL, but NFL starts next Sunday, and you had an interesting, question on Twitter. Who will make the Saints roster? I'm just going to paraphrase it that way. That people didn't think would make it, but who's going to be surprised person to make the roster? Am I kind of close on that?
Yeah, that's what I asked. I was just kind of, every year there's always some guy that, people probably weren't talking about before training camp started, and that guy typically, there's somebody who makes it that you didn't think was going to make it. I mean, 2 years ago it was J.T. Gray made it on kind of as a special teams guy, and you look at this past season, he was second team All-Pro, and this is an undrafted guy out of Mississippi State, and he made the roster last year, and none of us had him making the roster 2 years ago, and he did. So last year, I guess maybe Shy Tuttle, maybe. I mean, there's just always some guy that you didn't think was going to make it. And this year it may be a little harder to find that guy just because obviously the Saints roster is, pretty stacked coming into training camp. So there may not be that surprise, but I mean, there have been some guys like cornerback Keith Washington who has been phenomenal in training camp. I mean, he has 6 interceptions. It seemed like every day we were out there, he was picking off a pass, and he's a guy that nobody was talking about, but he's a guy that very well could be on that 53-man roster when it comes out today at 3:00 is when they have to have that cut down to 53.
Well, with COVID-19, no preseason games, no fans at the beginning of the home season. With that being said, one of the biggest questions, and I just got to ask this. Will Alvin Kamara, will he be with the Saints this season going forward?
I think so. I think if you'd asked me that question if you'd asked me that question on Tuesday, I probably would have been a little hesitant because that was the day when all the rumors started swirling. And then Kamara's at practice the next day. And to me, if you're really considering, if you're not liking the money that they have on the table, I think you continue to hold out. But I mean, for him to come back that soon as those rumors came out that the Saints were considering trading him, I mean, he was back at practice. I just think they're going to get something done. I don't think that it can't be that far apart because, I mean, I would think that, you look at Joe Mixon, he signed for $12 million with the Bengals. McCaffrey's at $16 million. I would think Kamara's somewhere in the middle of that, like 14. I assume he's asking for 14, and I figure they're probably negotiating between, somewhere between 12 and 14, and they're just going to have to find a happy medium somewhere in there. And I'm thinking they'll get it done. I'd be kind of shocked if they didn't. I think they need him. I mean, I think he's a guy that's really important to this offense. And I know our running backs have been devalued over the years, but I just think, if this is a Super Bowl team this year, I think he has to be a part of it. I don't think you can bring a new guy in and do what Kamara does and keeps the way he keeps opposing defensive coordinators, just on their toes because he can just do so many things.
Yeah, he's a hybrid. I always look at him as a receiver, running back. You can utilize him in so many ways. When we close this conversation, I'm going to ask you about the Saints and the Super Bowl. But Clowney, will he be a Saints player? Yay or nay?
Who's that? Who?
Javon Clowney. Clowney?
Oh, Clowney. Man, I don't know. I know the Saints want him. I mean, from all the reports that we've seen, and obviously Sean Payton wouldn't talk about specific players yesterday when he was asked about them, but he kind of said, this is a team that's always trying to find good players, and I mean, no doubt he's a good player. If they can afford him and get him, and I mean, I think he would definitely want to be here. I don't think the Saints need him. I think he'd be. Obviously, it can never hurt to have plenty of good players, but I wouldn't be shocked either way. I just say it that way. I wouldn't be shocked, and I do think again it looks like they're really trying to go after him. So just gonna be a matter if they can make the money work.
Also, well, we got about 7 minutes. Let me get this in for you. I was kind of being facetious earlier in this second hour about Tampa Bay. I mean, like the late Dennis Green said, if you want to crown them champions, go ahead. They are who we thought they were. My goodness. Tampa Bay, how serious of a threat are they to win the NFC South?
Oh, I think they're definitely a threat. I mean, you look at Tampa Bay they split with the Saints. I guess did the Saints sweep them last year? I know the year before that they split. The one year they came in here with this. I mean, they've always played the Saints well. It seems like, they thought, And I think if you look at the pieces they add, I mean, I think you'd be a little crazy to think that they're not going to be a threat. I just think, I think with the pieces they have, I think they can be a really dangerous team. They got some weapons on offense. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop anybody, which is, sort of an issue. The Saints used to deal with that problem, being able to score and not being able to stop anybody. So that could be Tampa Bay's issue. But I think they definitely, you have to be concerned about them. I mean, I think they're going to be that first game. I think
Fournette and adding those pieces. And now I think, Rod, you're going to see Tampa Bay fans from coming out everywhere now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely coming out now. You can believe that. You have the New England fans that probably jumped on board, and obviously Fournette has a big following. But I mean, I don't think his following from New Orleans. I don't think that they won't jump on the damn bandwagon. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that going to be fun to watch. I mean, there have been times that I wouldn't even, if Tampa Bay was playing, you may not even watch them, but you're definitely going to be watching this team now, right?
Yeah, well, with
yeah.
Mr. Winston now moving from Tampa Bay to the Saints, so I think the backup quarterback situation is solid. Correct? He's the number 2 without a doubt.
Just watching them in practice. No, that's a but. Yeah, watching them in practice. I mean, Taysom has been taking most of the reps because Drew didn't even practice the past 2 days, and Taysom was the guy that was kind of starting in Drew's absence. And I think that's just because with no OTAs, I don't think Jameis has gotten a chance to really get a feel of this offense yet. So I think if Drew went down in week 1 or week 2 of the season, I think he'd probably see Taysom out there. Because I just don't think Jameis has gotten that far along in learning the offense. Now I think by the time we get to week 6 or 7 and Drew gets hurt, I think Jameis probably eventually I think he's probably more familiar with the offense. But I think right now, I think Taysom's probably the guy if something happened to Drew right now. And again, that's just early in the season. I think that will change. I think he just hadn't had the time to learn it like he would like to.
Well, Rod, finally with the Saints, then we'll move quickly. If the Saints don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, will the season be considered a bad season?
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay.
And I don't think they have to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I think they got there and lost to Kansas City. Like, I don't think we could. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I mean, they do. This is a team that should be able to win a Super Bowl, and I don't think there should be any excuses for why they didn't get it done this year. I don't care who gets. There's not really a play on this roster that if they went down, you say, "Oh, that's it." Maybe. I don't know, maybe Lattimore. I think if you lose Marshawn, I think that you might have some trouble. I think as far as like backup quarterback, I think they have the pieces. So yeah, if they don't get it done this year, they definitely they failed. I mean, it's just plain and simple. This team has failed if they don't win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl.
Because I got less than 2 minutes, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this Steve Nash. That was a big thing, even on social media. So I'll just save that for maybe if we can get you back next week, we'll open up with that. But I would like to ask you, with that being said, who's going to be the head coach for the Pelicans?
I don't know. I think
you can tell me about my Miami Heat, how good they are in a close to 30 seconds.
I said something about the Heat last week, and y'all laughed at me. I said the Heat might come out of the East, and one of y'all laughed at me. I can't remember, but
it wasn't me. It was the other guy, Dr. Prince.
I know it wasn't you. But as far as the Pelicans, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I think the fact that Steve Nash got that job, I mean, I think I said this last week, I think the Brooklyn job is the job that was going to be the first piece in all the dominoes falling. So they hired somebody out of nowhere, so that kind of leaves all those openings there. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's some good options out there for them.
Well, on that note, we appreciate the time. If we can, we'll get you back next week and kind of talk a little bit more about it. But have a great weekend.
Thanks, all right, you too.
All right. That was Rod Walker of the New Orleans Advocate. I want to thank Coach Fred McNair of the Alcorn State Braves, Coach Van Pettaway. Also, I want to thank Dr. Michael Prince producing today's show. Don't forget, appreciate all of you who have made donations via Cash App, the Carlos Brown Show, for your donations, and continue to support Black media platforms. Appreciate everyone who tuned in and listened in. Next week, I'm scheduled to have Coach Broderick Forbes, head football coach at Grambling State University. Make sure you tune in to the Carlos Brown Show each and every Saturday mornings from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Until next time, as always, be safe, peace, and God bless.